now immediately. And as first speaker, I have the pleasure to give the floor to Raffaele Cattaneo, the chair of the Quarter Commission of the Committee of the Regions.
Thank you. Good morning, dear Mrs. Mosler Törnström, dear President Karl-Heinz Lambert, colleagues, dear representatives of border cities, border regions, Euro regions, associations, GTCs, dear friends of territorial cooperation, cross-border cooperation. And dear friends who are following this workshop streaming via internet, I'm very happy to open together with my colleagues on the podium and together with all of you our conference on a very important issue, the future of cross-border cooperation in Europe. What would be the future? What should be the future of cross-border cooperation in Europe? This is the topics of today, our meeting. Don't forget that we represent regions and local authorities. We are the voice of all the institutional, social and economic subjects that every day work for a better cross-border cooperation, looking for the place-based approach, which is, in my opinion, the only policy model that the EU can use if we want to be successful in territorial cohesion. So, this is the reason why we want to be proactive, looking to the future of cross-border cooperation, because we want the future bottom-up and not top-down, created by the ground, by the authorities closer to the citizens, closer to the territory, and not created by the top, so from the European Commission, transnational or cross-border, taking into account and developing a real territorial competitiveness. And I think it's impossible to develop a real territorial competitiveness without the direct cooperation of the local authorities. The objective recognition of the territorial dimension, not just within the geographical borders, leads towards the efficient achievement of the goals of sustainability and growth. Overcoming borders seem to be a natural human desire. The human being aims to overcome geographical boundaries and also, let me say, mental boundaries. That is why I think that cross-border cooperation represents one of the most human dimensions of European integration. European integration is not just political or economic, but above all, it is a human adventure. It's a cultural idea. It's the dream to live together, passing over any kind of border. Today, as often in the past, the future of European integration depends on the way we find joint solutions to issues which arise at our borders. Now that we celebrate the 25th anniversary of Interreg, there is considerable work going on at our borders, but there seems to be still a lot to do. 25 years of history, it's a great legacy, but it's not enough. We have to look to the future, and we have a lot of things to do to better cross-border cooperation. And cross-border cooperation is not a solution in itself. However, it can be a powerful tool, a powerful instrument, a powerful means, because it engages local communities at grassroots level, on the ground. But it's not a solution in itself. We need to drive the objectives of cross-border cooperation.
Thanks to the commitment of the representatives of cities and regions, today the Committee of the Region has to be consulted on policies involving cross-border cooperation, and the European territorial cooperation has become a specific objective of cohesion policy. Two very important political achievements, in my opinion. But it is not the time to rest on our laurels. To even more effective, cross-border cooperation needs to become a strategic piece in mainstreaming policies at European and national level. And probably it's not the case right now. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friend, this year the Committee of the Region has been particularly active. We made a lot of singing, and yesterday in our seminar I made a file of many things we made inside the EGTC platform in the Committee of the Region. And I won't repeat all of these things today because many of you were present yesterday in the seminar, so I won't repeat all this. But I will clarify which is the reason why the Committee of the Region is so active in this frame, in this period. And the reason is why I really think that cross-border cooperation is one of the most important issues if we would create a new Europe, a new ideal. Europe is not just the addition, the sum of some national state. Italy plus France plus Germany plus Netherlands plus Spain plus. It's not an addition of different national political opinion, constitution, cultures, ideas. Europe must be created, sharing experience through the borders, over the borders, creating a new mentality, a new culture, new political ideas, built bottom up, on the ground, coming from concrete experiences. And you are the protagonist of these experiences. Who is creating a real Europe on the ground? The people who concretely are working in cross-border cooperation. Because by definition, cross-border cooperation is over the national borders and the national boundaries. This is, in my opinion, our important political task. Because what is the opposite? What is the alternative? The alternative is a Europe even more top-down, created by the European bureaucracy and driving in the territories, but the territories remain the place where the policies, in a sense, landed, touched the ground, but not the consequence of a common process where the policies are created together. The result of a common, are the results of a common decision. So the challenge is really important, not just for the concrete results of our activity, but for the political view of the future of Europe. And this is, at least this is my opinion. Ladies and gentlemen, in view to the future of cross-border cooperation, I would like to underline some points. With regard to cross-border cooperation, the Commission needs more knowledge about borders regions and more action in this area. The sixth cohesion report was clearly insufficient in this respect. Cross-border cooperation does not mean just projects. It is also about to know what happens in the borders, to capture reality, to understand the data, to measure flows, and to know the needs of border areas. I invite the Commission to bring the borders regions into the heart of the territorial agenda, and to know more and more on what is concretely happening close to the borders. Probably some surprises will happen in this case. Furthermore, we have to improve the projects. We have to remove the administrative barriers, many of them national, to encourage the participation in Interreg, in regional macro-strategy, and in the other tools of cross-border cooperation. And beyond this, we shall combine traditional forms of funding with new ones. We should encourage the joint use of different financial sources at cross-border level, including financial instruments. FCI, Connecting Euro Facility, EIB loans, and other sources should be used jointly in tailored solutions according to the context of the territories. And in particular, I would like to draw your attention to the missing links in our trans-European infrastructure. Closing the links could improve significantly the mobility of citizens and even long-haul transporters. And finally, the current flow of refugees and migrants, very often tragic, is an even more urgent issue. The refugee crisis has broken the consensus behind the convenience of open borders and cross-border cooperation. 20 years of Interreg experience and more than 50 years of cooperation in European borders have built mutual trust, and this trust is now at a serious risk. We must be aware of this risk. The involvement of the citizens and the visibility of our work are now more necessary than ever. The Council has proposed a pilot action to cope with these challenges from the point of view of the territorial cooperation. Surely, the migrants and refugees will be soon in this agenda of the territorial cooperation. But I think our concrete action are the best answer that we can deliver in the territories against the risk of a crisis, cross-border cooperation due to the refugee problem. So let me conclude. CBC has a great potential to become an element able to make the EU multi-level governance evolving positively, supporting with trust and the cooperation between different authorities of different states, but on the other hand, to diversify the development of the, for example, EGTCs and macro-regional strategies. And it should preserve competitive profiles with the aim of not losing valuable energies and maybe also with a greater degree of popular participation. Cross-border cooperation is strategic for the COR and will remain strategic for the COR precisely because it empowers the region and the cities. And it is one step forward in the local democracy. And in this vision, we will map and cluster the feasible project across Europe, not with a top-down procedure, but, as I said before, with a bottom-up procedure with the local authority that asks this cross-border cooperation in order to improve the growth and quality of our life in Europe. This is our political task, and I hope we will all together, we will be able to be aware and to concretely create results on the basis of the importance of this task. So this is the reason why I hope that the today meeting will be a great success. I'm sure it will be a great success, and I would thank all the organizers of the meeting, most of all the Council and the AEBR. Thank you so much, and have a good day together.
Mr. Cattaneo for this important message. And now is a pleasure for me to give the floor to Corina Kretschmer, the Commissioner for Regional and Urban Policy. And she will not be here personally, but we will have a video message.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, good morning. I would have very much liked to be with you today in Brussels for this joint conference on the future of cross-border cooperation in Europe, but unfortunately it was not possible for me to attend the conference I am very pleased to have the opportunity to address you this message. The Association of European Border Regions, the Committee of the Regions, and the Congress of Local and Regional Authorities of the Council of Europe are essential partners for the European Commission in the delivery of cohesion policy. It is people like you on the ground who make this policy live every day, in particular when it comes to cross-border cooperation. This year we celebrate 25 years of Interreg. The experience so far showed that the intuition of our forefathers, their enthusiastic choice for cross-border cooperation, was absolutely right. Cross-border cooperation is the driving force of the European integration process. As you rightly put it, it's the cornerstone and cement of the European house, as one European in three live in border areas. Everything that Interreg has achieved so far, it has had a visible impact for many people. And ladies and gentlemen, Interreg has achieved so much over the 25 years. Cooperation programs have worked towards establishing a solid layer of trust, building or rebuilding bridges, and facilitating reconciliation among people living on the border. This is of foremost importance for the Europe we all aspire to, a solidary Europe. Interreg has enhanced connectivity by connecting railways, roads or ICT infrastructure across the borders. It has contributed to fostering a healthy environment, regardless of the side of the border in which we are. It has identified and implemented cross-border risk prevention solutions in areas like floods or forest fires. Last but not least, Interreg is a driver for growth and jobs in border areas. Dear friends, all these achievements are in fact your achievements, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank you all for it. But the challenges of today are so different to those we were facing just a few years ago. Ladies and gentlemen, in changing times, cross-border cooperation has always managed to reinvent itself to be the front runner in tackling new challenges, so I'm confident it will continue to do that in the future. The cross-border review, on which the Director General for the DG Regio, Mr. Walter Defa, will say a few words later today, or the strengthening of macro-regional approach to territorial cooperation, these are the kind of responses we need in the current situation. But above all, what we absolutely need is that you continue devoting your knowledge, your experience and your energies to building a borderless union. In reaching this, people are our major asset, and in them we put our strongest hope for a better common future. Please be assured that the European Commission will always stand by you in this endeavor. I wish you every success in today's conference. Thank you very much.
President of the Chamber of Regions of the Congress of Local and Regional Authorities of the Council of Europe. You have the floor.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome, and I'm very proud and honored to be here with you today, also representing the Congress, as you heard, the Congress of Local and Regional Authorities, and I'm also very pleased to see some familiar faces here. And I want to begin with a warm thank you to Karl-Heinz Lamberts for inviting us to participate to this conference. And I could say it's a little bit our conference, because it is a joint event of the Congress, and I'm very pleased to be in a partnership with the AEBR, the European Commission and the Committee of Regions on such an important subject, which today has taken a dramatic new dimension, as we heard before, and I also heard yesterday evening on the speeches. Meeting here today, we are very much aware of the philosophy that has inspired us and brought us together here today, and I will come back to this. But at the same time, we are very conscious that the current refugee crisis in Europe poses a serious threat to this project. It is a crisis for which we are still desperately looking for solutions. And I would say, at the moment, all over Europe, we are learners, have learned. As I said, we are learners, but we do not really want to understand out of what reason ever they are different. This is a precarious development for Europe, for democracy, for rule of law, and for the respect of human rights. And it is a risk setting our cross-border cooperation work back for years, perhaps for decades. But let's remind ourselves of the roots of our cooperation. Also, we are meeting today in Brussels and celebrating 25 years of Interreg. I would like to remind you that the Council of Europe, working closely with AEBR, has been the forefront of European transfrontier cooperation for over 40 years now. We have come a long way since then, but I begin with a historical note because it was not an accident. Very early on the Council of Europe, we realized that the effective cross-border cooperation was a key to European integration, as we heard just now. It goes to the heart of the European project. It is the heart of that post-war spirit led to the creation of the Council of Europe. That never again spirit determined that relations between European states would henceforth be characterized by peaceful cooperation based on democracy, rule of law, and respect of human rights. It goes to the heart of our belief in and understanding of the benefits of international cooperation, of mutual enrichment, not just in terms of better understanding and improving neighborly relations, but in obvious issues of improving public services, sharing infrastructures, school, universities, hospitals, emergencies, and services and airports. It was this spirit that Strasbourg was chosen as the seat of the Council of Europe, the capital of Alsace, a region that had been so much fought over, was considered a ugly symbolic choice for this new European project. Strasbourg and the Upper Rhine region has continued to be a center of efforts to develop this cooperation. Strasbourg and its neighbor Kiel and the surrounding regions are continuing to increase the coordination of their infrastructures and services through the creation of the Strasbourg-Ortenau-Euro district, and soon the Strasbourg tram will be crossing the Rhine to Kiel. The bridge over the Rhine is always busiest when people are going to work, transfrontier workers moving in both directions. The same happens in my region, Salzburg towards Bavaria, and vice versa. Some of the earliest Council of Europe treaties were drawn up to address the issues that such workers faced. So we are the heart of the cross-border cooperation. It goes to the heart of our belief in the international cooperation. We are convinced of the benefits and the mutual enrichments of such cooperation, not just in terms of better understanding and improving neighborly relations, but, as I said before, also in obvious issues. It is that vision of mutual enrichment across the border that risks being completely undermined by the current refugee crisis. We cannot close our eyes for this. The situation is very serious. In my own region, Salzburg, and in many other places of Europe, we are seeing national borders being reinforced, making transfrontier cooperation difficult. Let me give you just one example. We now have on the border between Salzburg and Bavaria daily thousands refugees on the border, a region which have been until now a showcase of cross-border cooperation. Already now, the economy is facing serious difficulties. Why? This is causing huge problems with regard to our economy, infrastructure, and service exchange. Infrastructure is not functioning really any longer, or very limited. Trains trains passing the border irregularly. Increased checks are causing long delays at the border crossings, which is disrupting the delivery of goods, public services, transfrontier workers, students, and pupils. National boundaries should not constitute obstacles to cooperation, but at the moment it seems that they will do again. Border areas do not have to be poorly served simply as a result being on the periphery of a nation state. The opposite can be true. It was true, as I can tell you about my region, and it should be true even in the future. Because if you're on a border region, you can take the best out of both worlds. As we experienced in Salzburg, when we, not with understanding of the financial crisis of the recent years, have had one of the lowest unemployment rates in Europe, between 3.5% and now it raised to 5.6%, still very low. And Salzburg is not a region where we have much production. It's a region of services and research. In the region of Salzburg, a cross-regional product of 24.4 billion was generated in 2014, which represents an increase of 18.7% in the last 5 years. All this was also, I stress also, a result of a vital and continuing cross-border cooperation between our regions. Let me highlight another aspect. Cross-border cooperation conferences often focus on cooperation between a small number of Western European states. However, it is fundamental to our experience and understanding that the cooperation is for all, whether you are in the EU or not, whether you have an access to Interreg funding or not. Some of the most promising cross-border cooperation for us have been the post-conflict zones of the Baltics, with the patchwork of peoples, cultural, ethnic, and religious minorities. The Congress has initiated important work in this respect with regard to the establishment of local democracy agencies. Much of this work focuses on reconciling different groups and communities, bringing them together and promoting the benefits of diversity and intercultural cooperation. We have come a long way since Madrid. Since the Madrid Convention was launched some 35 years ago. The development of this convention and its 3 protocols demonstrate how transfrontier cooperation is continuing to evolve, with the first protocol recognizing the right of territorial communities to conclude transfrontier agreements. The second protocol extending the convention to non-neighboring countries, and now the third protocol providing for the establishment of Euro-regional cooperating groupings that you were discussing yesterday, bridging the gap between the EU and non-EU countries in cross-border cooperation and facilitating the implementation of the EC regulation on European grouping of territorial cooperations at national level. While the first such Euro-regional cooperation grouping has yet come into existence, we are confident that these bodies will be important actors in future territorial cohesions. Cross-border cooperation and our understanding of it has evolved rapidly, becoming more realistic, more focused, more practical. The last 20 years have witnessed a boom in interregional cooperations in Europe, fueled by developments in globalization, improvements in communications, low-cost travel, and in the easing of visa regimes. But we shift from soft activities to reconciliation and cultural exchanges into harsher realities of economic and project-based cooperation. It is clear that the obstacles facing us remain huge. Whether these be barriers of bureaucracy, lack of political will, or the complex administrative structures that can differ so greatly from one country to another. We are conscious of the need to increase capacity in this area, and we have proposed to establish a pool of expertise on transfrontier cooperation issues to coordinate research in this area and to encourage the development of capacity building and training programs. Ladies and gentlemen, to conclude, as President of the Chamber of Regions of the Congress, it is clear to me that we need to do much more in this area. We need to have a seismic shift in political will to ensure that the resources are found and the actors at all levels of government are mobilized so we can move from good intentions to getting into practical results. This is very necessary now after all those years, and begin to unlock and harness the huge potential that our borders represent. But our biggest and most pressing problem at the moment, and not just at the moment, also in the future, is the current refugee crisis, which threatens and paralyzes our effort to move forward in this area and could even take us backwards and unlock all the painstaking and undo all the painstaking work of territorial cohesion we have spent so many years working on to achieve. And this conference, ladies and gentlemen, is a great opportunity for us to address these issues. Let us this time together to reflect on the new challenges that we face and see how, by pooling our experience and expertise, we can move forward on this and continue to reap the benefits of cross-border cooperation. And that we can continue on the next years, weeks, months, whatever. Thanks very much, and I'm looking forward to this day. Thank you.